All right, guys, we're starting something new. We're doing the Constitution of the World Health Organization, also known as the WHO, the World Health Organization. Um, yeah, so right here, there's little number one at the end of the title. So the Constitution was adopted by the International Health Conference held in New York from the 19th of June to the 22nd July 1946, signed on the 22nd of July 1946 by the representatives of 61 states and entered into force on the 7th April 1948. Amendments adopted by the 26th, 29th, 39th, and 51st World Health Assemblies. Anyway, so the Constitution of the World Health Organization. Yes, so we're going to do it in parts. We'll just do it 20 minutes increments. So this is the Constitution of the World Health Organization. The states parties to this Constitution declare, in conformity with the Charter of the United Nations, that the following principles are basic to the happiness, harmonious relations, and security of all peoples. Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. The enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of health is one of the fundamental rights of every human being, without distinction of race, religion, political belief, economic, or social condition. The health of all peoples is fundamental to the attainment of peace and security and is dependent upon the fullest cooperation of individuals and states. The achievement of any state and the promotion and protection of health is of value to all. Unequal development in different countries and the promotion of health and control of disease, especially communicable disease, is a common danger. Healthy development of the child is of basic importance. Are you sure? The ability to live harmoniously in a changing total environment is essential to such development. The extension to all peoples of the benefits of medical, psychological, and related knowledge is essential to the fullest attainment of health. Informed opinion and active cooperation on the part of the public are of the utmost importance in the improvement of the health of the people. Governments have a responsibility for the health of their peoples, which can be fulfilled only by the provision of adequate health and social measures. Governments have a responsibility. Well, that's giving government pretty much a lot of power, because separated from them, what? Nothing. Accepting these principles and for the purpose of cooperation among themselves and with others to promote and protect the health of all peoples, the contracting parties agreed to the present Constitution and hereby establish the World Health Organization as a specialized agency within the Article 57 of the Charter of the United Nations. We're going to read that as well, but I actually have it right here in front of me. So what is Article 57? Article 57. We have it right here, guys. I printed it out today, so I'm going to read that after I'm done with this series. If the judgment does not represent in whole or in part the unanimous opinion of the judges, any judge shall be entitled to deliver a separate opinion. So what? Article 57 of the Charter of the United Nations. That didn't seem like it had anything to do with it, right? Is there another article within here? 57. Okay, this is another 57, which is part of some other chapter. The various specialized agencies established by intergovernmental agreement and having wide international responsibilities as defined in their basic instruments in economic, social, cultural, educational, health, and related fields shall be brought interrelationship with the United States or the United Nations in accordance with the provisions of Article 63. Then this is Article 57 too. Such agencies thus brought into relationship with the United Nations are hereinafter referred to as specialized agencies. This was like chapter 1. I know it began again from number 1. I wonder why it like started over from number 1. Article. Okay, so because this was the the Charter of the United Nations. Yeah, that's separate from this other statute of the International Court of Justice. And this was like put together. This is San Francisco, 1945, United Nations. Like, why is San Francisco so fucked? Anyway, let's continue. So now we're still on the World Health Organization. Chapter 1, Objective. So chapter 1 is titled Objective. There's only one article. The objective of the World Health Organization, hereinafter called the organization, shall be the attainment by all peoples of the highest possible level of health. The attainment of all peoples of the highest possible level of health. Those are like promises. Like, why lie? You know, like chapter 2, Functions. Article 2. So the articles never really start back at the top again. So chapter 1 was objective. We already read that. The objective is the attainment by all peoples of the highest possible level of health. That was chapter 1, article 1. So chapter 2, Functions, article 2. And it's a concatenation. It's listed. So we got article 2. In order to achieve its objective, the functions of the organization of the WHO shall be, it goes from A all the way to V. So A, to act as the directing and coordinating authority to international health work. B, to establish and maintain effective collaboration with the United Nations, specialized agencies, governmental health administrations, professional groups, and such other organizations as may be deemed appropriate. C, to assist governments upon request in strengthening health services. D, to furnish appropriate technical assistance and in emergencies, necessary aid upon the request or acceptance of governments. E, to provide or assist in providing upon the request of the United Nations health services and facilities to special groups such as the peoples of trust territories. F, to establish and maintain such administrative and technical services as may be required, including epidemiological and statistical services. G, to stimulate and advance work to eradicate epidemic, endemic, and other diseases. H, to promote in cooperation with other specialized agencies where necessary, the prevention of accidental injuries. I, to promote in cooperation with other specialized agencies where necessary, the improvement of nutrition, housing, sanitation, recreation, economic or working conditions, and other aspects of environmental hygiene. J, to promote cooperation among scientific and professional groups which contribute to the advancement of health. K, to propose conventions, agreements, and regulations and make commendations with respect to international health matters and to perform such duties as may be assigned thereby to the organization and are consistent with its objective. The organization is the WHO, okay? To propose conventions, agreements, and regulations. To propose conventions, like, so they set the standard, like, oh, this is conventional, this is what it's supposed to be, this is what we're expecting. To propose conventions, agreements, regulations, and make recommendations, with respect to international health matters and to perform such duties as may be assigned thereby to the organization and are consistent with its objective. L, to promote maternal and child health and welfare and to foster the ability to live harmoniously in a changing total environment. M, to foster activities in the field of mental health, especially those affecting the harmony of human relations. N, to promote and conduct research in the field of health. O, to promote improved standards of teaching and training in the health, medical, and related professions. P, to study and report on, in cooperation with other specialized agencies where necessary, administrative and social techniques affecting public health and medical care from preventive and curative points of view, including hospital services and social security. Q, to provide information, counsel, and assistance in the field of health. R, to assist in developing an informed public opinion among all peoples on matters of health. To assist in developing an informed public opinion? Why would we need that? Among all peoples on matters of health. S, to establish and revise as necessary international nomenclatures of diseases, of causes of death, and of public health practices. T, to standardize diagnostic procedures as necessary. U, to develop, establish, and promote international standards with respect to food, biological, pharmaceutical, and similar products. V, this little similar products is kind of vague, right? So V, generally to take all necessary action to attain the objective of the organization. Now we're on chapter 3, membership and associate membership. Article 3, membership in the organization shall be open to all states. Article 4 of chapter 3, members of the United Nations may become members of the organization by signing or otherwise accepting this constitution in accordance with the provisions of chapter 14 and chapter 19, and in accordance with their constitutional processes. So members of the UN may become members of the WHO by signing or otherwise accepting this constitution in accordance with the provisions of chapter 19 and in accordance with their constitutional processes. Article 5, the states whose governments have been invited to send observers to the International Health Conference held in New York, 1946, may become members by signing or otherwise accepting this constitution in accordance with the provisions of chapter 19, in accordance with their constitutional processes, provided that such signature or acceptance shall be completed before the first session of the Health Assembly. So this was held in when? The International Health Conference held in New York, 1946. Article 6 of Chapter 3, subject to the conditions of any agreement between the UN and the organization approved pursuant to Chapter 16, states which do not become members in accordance with Articles 4 and 5 may apply to become members and shall be admitted as members when their application has been approved by a simple majority vote of the Health Assembly. Article 7, the little number 1 on top of the 7, so it's right here at the bottom. The amendment to this article adopted by the 18th World Health Assembly has not yet come into force. So anyway, Article 7, if a member fails to meet its financial obligations to the organization or in other exceptional circumstances, the Health Assembly may, on such conditions as it thinks proper, suspend the voting privileges and services to which a member is entitled. The Health Assembly shall have the authority to restore such voting privileges and services. So you got the organization, then you got the Health Assembly. So suspension of vote. Suspend the voting. So Article 8. Territories or groups of territories which are not responsible for the conduct of their international relations may be admitted as associate members by the Health Assembly upon application made on behalf of such territory or group of territories by the member or other authority having responsibility for their international relations. Representatives of associate members to the Health Assembly should be qualified by their technical competence in the field of health and should be chosen from the native population. The nature and extent of the rights and obligations of associate members. The nature and extent of the rights and obligations of associate members shall be determined by the Health Assembly. Now we're on Chapter 4, Organs, Article 9. The work of the organization shall be carried out by A, the World Health Assembly, herein called the Health Assembly. B, the Executive Board, hereinafter called the Board. C, the Secretariat. So the World Health Assembly, the Executive Board, and the Secretariat. Chapter 5, the World Health Assembly, Article 10. The Health Assembly, or the World Health Assembly, which is hereafter called the Health Assembly, shall be composed of delegates representing members. Article 11, each member shall be represented by not more than 3 delegates, one of whom shall be designated by the member as chief delegate. These delegates should be chosen from among persons most qualified by their technical competence in the field of health, preferably representing the National Health Administration of the member. Article 12, alternates and advisors may accompany delegates. Article 13, the Health Assembly shall meet in regular annual session and in such special sessions as may be necessary. Special sessions shall be convened at the request of the board or a majority of members. Article 14, the Health Assembly at each annual session shall select the country or region in which the next annual session shall be held, the board subsequently fixing the place. The board shall determine the place where a special session shall be held. Article 15, the board, after consultation with the Secretary General of the United Nations, shall determine the date of each annual and special session. Okay, so the board, after consultation with the Secretary General of the UN, shall determine the date of each annual and special session. Article 16, the Health Assembly shall elect its president and other officers at the beginning of each annual session. They shall hold office until their successors are elected. Article 17, the Health Assembly shall adopt its own rules of procedure. The Health Assembly shall adopt its own rules of procedure. All right, Article 18 goes all the way down to M. So Article 18, the functions of the Health Assembly shall be A, to determine the policies of the organization. So the Health Assembly. Health Assembly, very powerful here, huh? The functions of the Health Assembly, this is Article 18. The functions of the Health Assembly shall be A, to determine the policies of the organization. B, to name the members entitled to designate a person to serve on the board. C, to appoint the Director General. D, to review and approve reports and activities of the board and of the Director General, and to instruct the board in regard to matters upon which action, study, investigation, or report may be considered desirable. E, to establish such committees as may be considered necessary for the work of the organization. F, to supervise the financial policies of the organization and to review and approve the budget. I'm going to put a little money sign right here. Budget. Bureaucracy. Remember that. G, to instruct the board and the Director General to bring to the attention of members and of the international organizations, governmental or non-governmental, any matter with regard to health which the Health Assembly may consider appropriate. To instruct the board and the Director General to bring to the attention of members and of international organizations, governmental or non-governmental, any matter with regard to health which the Health Assembly may consider appropriate. H, to invite any organization, international or national, governmental or non-governmental, which has responsibilities related to those of the organization, to appoint representatives to participate without right of vote in its meetings or in those of committee and conferences convened under its authority on conditions prescribed by the Health Assembly. But in the case of national organizations, invitations shall be issued only with the consent of the government concerned. Without right of vote. So I, to consider recommendations bearing on health by the General Assembly, the Economic and Social Council, the Security Council or Trusteeship Council of the UN, United Nations, and to report to them on the steps taken by the organization to give effect to such recommendations. J, to report to the Economic and Social Council in accordance with any agreement between the organization and the United Nations. K, to promote and conduct research in the field of health by the personnel of the organization, by the establishment of its own institutions, or by cooperation with official or non-official institutions of any member with the consent of its government. Non-official? So L, to establish such institutions as it may consider desirable. M, to take any other appropriate action to further the objective of the organization. So Article 19, the Health Assembly shall have authority to adopt conventions or agreements with respect to any matter within the competence of the organization. A 2/3 vote of the Health Assembly shall be required for the adoption of such conventions or agreements, which shall come into force for each member when accepted by it in accordance with the constitutional processes. 2/3 vote. Article 20, each member undertakes that it will, within 18 months after the adoption by the Health Assembly of a convention or agreement, take action relative to the acceptance of such convention or agreement. Each member shall notify the Director General of the action taken, and if it does not accept such convention or agreement within the time limit, it will furnish a statement of the reasons for non-acceptance. In case of acceptance, each member agrees to make an annual report to the Director General in accordance with the Chapter 14. I guess we're going to get there. Article 21, Chapter 14. Article 21, the Health Assembly shall have authority to adopt regulations concerning A, sanitary and quarantine requirements and other procedures designed to prevent the international spread of disease. B, nomenclatures with respect to diseases, causes of death, and public health practices. Nomenclatures. Sanitary and quarantine requirements. This is pretty important. There's a lot of power right there. And then B, nomenclatures with respect to diseases, causes of death, and health practices. So like names of things, names. Nomenclatures are names. I'll look it up for you right here. Nomenclature. I'm going to just finish this chapter. Remember, there's articles within the chapter, so. Define nomenclature. A nomenclature, the devising or choosing of names for things, especially in a science or other discipline. The body or system of names in a particular field. The term or terms applied to someone or something. So they're responsible for naming diseases, causes of death, and public health practices. So C, standards with respect to diagnostic procedures. Standards with respect to diagnostic procedures for international use. A lot of power right here. Article 21. D, standards with respect to the safety, purity, and potency of biological, pharmaceutical, and similar products moving in international commerce. Standards with respect to safety, purity, and potency of biological, pharmaceutical, and similar products moving in international commerce. E, advertising and labeling of biological, pharmaceutical, and similar products moving in international commerce. So this is interesting, man. So this whole little Article 21 is very, very interesting. Article 22, regulations adopted pursuant to Article 21 shall come into force for all members after due notice has been given of their adoption by the Health Assembly, except for such members as may notify the Director General of rejection or reservations within the period stated in the notice. Article 23. The Health Assembly shall have authority to make recommendations to members with respect to any matter within the competence of the organization. All right, that's the end of that. That's the end of chapter 5.